All right, I was sick of all these mock drafts. Okay, I'm getting sick of it. All these stupid landing spots, all these idiots out there projecting TreVeyon Henderson, number 10 to the Bears. Get out of here. So, guess what I had to do? All right, to find landing spots for my 3-round mock draft. You know what Daddy had to do? Daddy had to do it all by himself. Okay, so I picked these landing spots. I did a mock draft, and I'm not gonna lie, I went a little hog wild in round 3. Okay, sue me, sue me. It's fun. This is supposed to be fun, right? This is supposed to be fun. So I went with the basically starting in round 3, maybe back end of round 2. Heck, probably for the whole draft. I went with the most fun landing spots for fantasy. And now we're going to do a 3-round mock draft based on these landing spots. And everybody out there doing an NFL mock draft, just making horrible picks, be better. Okay? Some of you are good. Dame Brugler, you're fine. Some of you, you got to be better. TreVeyon Henderson, number 10 to the Bears. If that happens, as a Bears fan, I will probably break at least one TV. Okay? That's gonna happen. If TreVeyon Henderson goes number 10 to the Bears, get out of here with that. Now watch it actually happen. And then I'll have to actually break a TV. That might be good content. I don't know. All right, without further ado, let's just get this thing started with Ashton Genty. He goes number 6 to the Raiders here, and that is a fantastic landing spot. I don't know if I need to really hash that out. At number 2, this is Superflex, tight end premium, PPR. I think there's a clear pick, and we could go Luther Burden. We could go a quarterback, but I think the pick is going to be Tet McMillan. And I understand yours included, myself included. I have been a little skeptical on Tet McMillan, Tetero McMillan. He doesn't like to be called Tet. Tetero McMillan. What am I afraid of? McMillan's not going to watch this. Well, maybe he will. I don't know. Tetero McMillan has all the upside in the world. And if he gets drafted by the Panthers in the top 10, pick 8, it's a perfect fit. This would be absolutely perfect. If they go tight end over a wide receiver like Tetero McMillan, they're insane. They're foolish. There's no way that these tight ends are as good as Brock Bowers was last year, so there's no need to pick them this high, my opinion. So Tetero McMillan, number 2. And then we have some options here, right? But I do think that there's a right answer and a responsible choice, even though I don't like the quarterbacks. I think if you can get a quarterback pick number 1 overall, I think you go that direction. Now, it was tempting to go Luther Burden. It was tempting to potentially go TreVeyon Henderson or Quinshon Judkins, who gets the nuts landing spot with the Cowboys. But I do think Cam Ward is the responsible choice. Now, I will continue this mock draft with Luther Burden and let my disdain for Shedeur Sanders be known. I'm not a huge fan. So Luther Burden going to the Cowboys at pick 12, he would be the perfect complement to CeeDee Lamb. He could play the slot, he can play outside, and he played a lot of slot. They used him more of as like a gadgety type receiver, which I didn't really like at Missouri. So there, I like this landing spot quite a bit for Luther Burden. Up next at the 1, so we have Luther Burden at the 104. I think we do have to pick Omarion Hampton going to the Browns. He does fall out of the first round, does get into the second round, but it's the Browns. The Browns don't really have much in the way of a running back. They have Jerome Ford, who's a nice player, not great. But you would think that Omarion Hampton, honestly, a really good fit with the Browns right now. Bigger running back, can catch passes out of the backfield, super producer in college. So Omarion Hampton's the pick for me. And then the next pick, this might be irresponsible with some of the other players, like the wide receivers on the board, the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, but this is my mock draft, okay? And TreVeyon Henderson, if he goes to the Bears in round 2, pick 39, would signal to me that DeAndre Swift's days are over in Chicago. With that rebuild offensive line, potentially the Bears take an offensive lineman in the first round. There's probably going to be one there, whether it's Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell, one of them could be there, and they could bolster that offensive line even further. In a Ben Johnson scheme with those wide receivers, DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, to take the heat off of the defense stacking players in the box, this just makes all the sense in the world. And TreVeyon Henderson is a much better running back than DeAndre Swift. So if this is the pick, this is a perfect match made in heaven. Now, again, maybe it's irresponsible to take him over some of these other guys. You let me know in the comments. But now I think we do have to focus our attention in a tight end premium league to Tyler Warren. The Colts need a tight end. Tyler Warren seems like the perfect fit, seems like a responsible place to take him. We have the Travis Hunter issue here. And you know what? If I'm in a draft and I've reflected on this, I'm taking the upside shot on Travis Hunter, and I might even take him before Tyler Warren. Maybe I should have, but the reason I'm willing to take him a little bit higher in this scenario, and I think in the last mock draft I did, I took him late first round, early second round, I think maybe at the 201. The reason, and I think he had the exact same landing spot going to the Patriots. My trepidation is I don't exactly know how much he's going to play wide receiver. Nobody does. I don't care what they're telling you. We probably won't know until, week 1 of the NFL season, how he's going to be utilized. The Patriots have 2 good cornerbacks. They signed one, and they have Christian Gonzalez there. They signed the guy from Detroit, I believe. So that would signal to me that they're probably going to use him more as a wide receiver. So I thought about this, and you could argue that I probably should bump him up even further than this, maybe into the mid first round. You could even argue taking him over, TreVeyon Henderson, certainly, maybe even over Omari and Hampton. You let me know what you think in the comments, but TreVeyon Henderson is going to be the next pick, or Travis Hunter is going to be the next pick here. And now I think we go back to wide receiver. Emeka Egbuka, I think this is the perfect fit if he winds up with the Falcons, paired with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. I think he's probably going to play the slot right away, but he could play outside. He's one of the more polished wide receivers from a technical standpoint, in my opinion, in this year's draft class. If I can speak. All right, so that brings us to the 110. And, we've got some interesting options, but I think we have to, at this point, go quarterback. Now, it's a mess there with the quarterback situation with the Giants. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. I think for fantasy, everybody's hoping and praying for Jameis Winston. Russell Wilson's not terrible, but Shedeur Sanders for sure would sit, which is weird, which makes me think, I don't know. I guess this was my mock draft, so I'm criticizing myself, but this would make this a weird pick. You would think that the coaching staff and the GM, they are desperate to win right away, and taking a quarterback, especially once they've signed the veterans that they've signed, that's going to need to sit a year, would be the antithesis of doing that. So either they would have to have some assurances about the future, or they're just betting that Shedeur Sanders can help them, so they can sell the franchise on Shedeur Sanders. That can be that long-term fix of the quarterback situation in the quarterback room. But I don't love this, to be honest, which is why he fell this far in my mock draft. And I don't really like the prospect either. So there you go. Take it or leave it, I guess. And now we have to. I don't even know how he fell this far, to be honest, but we're going to roll with it. Quinshon Judkins going to the Cowboys, and he falls to the 111. That was probably bad by me, but we're going to stick with this pick because I think you can justify all the players, Travis Hunter, Egbuka, Sanders over him, Tyler Warren. Quinshon Judkins to the Cowboys, you're getting him at the 111. I mean, it's stupid value. Stupid value, I say. Now I think we round out the first round with Colston Loveland, I know Evan Ingram is there, but this would signal to me, and the way that Denver played this in my mock draft, as you can see, going Colston Loveland in round 1, Jalen Knoll in round 2, and then getting Dylan Sampson in round 3, just completely getting all of Sean Payton's toys together and just making this offense centered around Bo Nix as good as it can possibly be. It was one of my favorite outcomes for this mock draft that I did. And Loveland in a tight end premium league going in the first round, I think that's the direction we have to go. Now let's move on to round 2. And if Jackson Dart gets the landing spot with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he belongs at the beginning of round 2. And I think he has a good chance to start, especially considering Mason Rudolph is there right now and really nobody else. So Jackson Dart's going to be my pick at the top of round 2. And then I think we close out round 1. I'm probably missing something, but I don't know. This is how these things always go for me. I'm going to take Matthew Golden. And there's a good chance Matthew Golden goes a lot higher in the actual NFL draft as opposed to my mock. But if he winds up with the Chargers and is paired with Ladd McConkey, I mean, Matthew Golden plays the outside, Ladd McConkey's in the slot. Feels like a perfect situation to me. Now let's move on to the 2-3. So round 1 is closed out. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Genty, McMillan, Burden, Warren, Egbuka, Loveland, Dart, Golden, all gone. Hampton and TreVeyon Henderson are both off the board, and so is Quinshon Judkins. Now, I think we have to think long and hard. And it's unbelievable that he's here, but in this mock, I think Caleb Johnson going to the Buffalo Bills would signal that James Cook's days are numbered, especially considering he wanted that contract. And if they pick Caleb Johnson, I got news for you. He's not getting that contract, and he feels like a good fit in that Buffalo cold weather. I know the 40 time wasn't exactly what we wanted, but still, Caleb Johnson going to the Buffalo Bills feels like a match made in heaven. And now we have some interesting landing spots because we're getting into round 3. Round 2, I feel I was reasonably responsible with my picks. Round 3, as I mentioned at the top, I went wild and crazy with some of these. And these are the best picks that, with every pick I made in this mock draft, I thought, what would be the most fun for fantasy football? And so the responsible choice here has to be Jaden Higgins. And I actually think that this is low-key a good situation with Justin Fields. I mean, Jaden Higgins is a bigger wide receiver, and PFF grade was off the charts. I think he was number 2 in their receiving grade. That's just going off the top of my head. But you start to look at what the New York Jets have at wide receiver, and I got news for you. This would fill a need for them. And I think he'd pair really well with Garrett Wilson, as Jaden Higgins would be a primary outside wide receiver. I mean, right now they have Josh Reynolds, Allen Lazard, Malachi Corley, Tyler Johnson. So they definitely could use, a wide receiver like Jaden Higgins. So I think he's got to be the pick here. There's a few third round landing spots for running backs that are so tantalizing that I mean, when given the choice between these second round wide receivers with amazing landing spots and some of these running backs in round 3, I mean, wouldn't Devin Neal just be all the way back? I mean, wouldn't Devin Neal, if he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, doesn't he? I mean, I've been of the mind all along that Devin Neal reminds me a little bit of Le'Veon Bell. I'm not saying he is Le'Veon Bell, but I see some Le'Veon Bell with the patient running style. And you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers depth chart right now, all there is Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, Cordero Patterson. I mean, how he would have to step into at least a 50-50 split with Jalen Warren right off the bat in that offense. And I think it's a good fit for a player like Devin Neal. So if that happens in round 3, Devin Neal would absolutely go here. And now we're stuck thinking, okay, well, we have Dylan Sampson going to the Broncos, and the Broncos, from a running back standpoint, very similar, very similar to the Steelers, because their depth chart, I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, Tyler Beatty. So I think Dylan Sampson has to be our pick here. I don't know. You let me know what you think in the comments. But I know these round 3 running backs are getting pushed up ahead of some of these round 2 wide receivers who also have awesome landing spots. And now I think I will go back to wide receiver and take Jalen Noel, because I think on the surface it might appear crowded in Denver, but it's really Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and Devon Vele and Trent Sherfield. So I think the Broncos could actually use a player like Jalen Noel, especially considering, I think he fits pretty well in the slot. I think he fits really well with the short passing game that Sean Payton wants to employ. And at the 2-8, I cannot believe he fell this far, especially in a rookie mock draft that I'm doing. But Alec Manor, if he gets this landing spot with the Bills at the end of round 2, I like that quite a bit. And now I think we have to go back to the running back position. And, Devin Neal, Dylan Sampson are off the board. Man, RJ Harvey with the Chargers, Najee Harris is in the way. DJ Giddens with the Texans, Joe Mixon's in the way. Bashul Tootin with the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco's in the way. I like that out of all of those situations the best, especially in that offense. And I think he provides them some juice in the backfield that they don't have. So I'm going to go with Bashul Tootin. And this might be unconventional, but I do think, well, no, I can't do it. I have to go Trey Harris here. And I know I'm going with a wide receiver over some of these other running backs, and that might be irresponsible. But with the Browns, and I know that they don't have a quarterback right now, so you could really argue against this pick, but I really like Trey Harris from a talent perspective. I like his tape. I know he gets dinged because he went to Ole Miss, and he has that helmet bias. Jonathan Mingo was no good, so Trey Harris can't be good. It's a bunch of nonsense. I think Trey Harris is a really good wide receiver, and I think that this would be a low-key good landing spot for him. Now, I do think we need to pivot to some of these running backs, and I this might be unpopular, but I think Brashard Smith is the right pick here. I have Brashard Smith higher in my running back rankings than I do RJ Harvey or DJ Giddens. Him going to the Vikings, I know it's at the tail end of round 3, but Aaron Jones is there right now. I know they brought in Jordan Mason, but in that offense with Kevin O'Connell calling the plays, I think that's a perfect fit for what the Vikings are going to want to do. Just look, I really do believe it's the perfect Aaron Jones replacement. And if that happens, I would be extremely excited. I know Matt Babich is somewhere potentially watching this, pumping his fist, hoping that happens. Let's make that happen. Let's make Bashul Tootin go to the Chiefs, and let's make Brashard Smith go to the Vikings. Day 2 would be awesome. If it happens in day 3, fine. We'll get an even better discount on them. So we're going to round out round 2 with RJ Harvey. I think RJ Harvey going to the Chargers is the right pick here. Najee Harris only has a 1-year deal, and I think if RJ Harvey gets picked by the Chargers, that would be a signal that I think that they would utilize him right away, at least a little bit. I don't know if obviously Najee Harris would be the lead running back, but I think RJ Harvey would have a role. Now we move on to round 3. And there's a lot of different directions we could go. The round 2, obviously we don't have any more players in round 2. A lot of the running backs we've already taken. But I do think that, think it's between DJ Giddens and Cam Scatabo. And I'm going to go with my gut here. And it might not be the right answer, but Cam Scatabo to me, I think, is just the better player. I get it. What really puts a wet blanket on this landing spot for Cam Scatabo is Ramondre Stevenson's probably going to be there for another couple of years, just given the contract. Now, they could get out of it and take a $5.5 million dead cap, or a $6 million dead cap hit, rather. I'm looking at the cap hit, not the dead cap hit. So $6 million dead cap hit this year. So he's for sure playing this year. Only a $3.25 million dead cap hit if they decide to cut him in 2026. Now, given the contract, it's just a $4.7 million base deal. He gets another 1.6 for signing, another $1 million for a bonus. So it's like a $7.5 million cap hit, which is not much for a running back. So I don't know. I don't think that they would cut him personally. So that's probably the reason why Cam Scatabo fell this far, even though he went day 2. Now, I do think that DJ Giddens would be the next pick. I'm going to soak up all these running backs. I'm going to bank this value because I know Joe Mixon's in the way right now, but you never know what can happen. Injuries play a part in this as well. DJ Giddens had a fantastic college career. He did better at the combine than a lot of people thought he would do. So I think early round 3, I think he is, he's the perfect pick for the Texans to make here. And they get, because there's not much behind Joe Mixon right now, just Dare Ogunbowale, Damian Pierce, JJ Taylor. So I think he would fit in as their RB2 basically right off the bat. And so now we look around the landscape. We have some wide receivers at the top of round 3 that haven't been picked. We have some tight ends that we could pivot to. And I think that is probably what we're going to do. We're going to pivot to Harold Fannin Jr. Now, this landing spot I think is really good, even though the Jets are not going to pass a lot because Justin Fields historically has not passed a lot. This is going to be a team that relies heavily on the run, but I think Harold Fannin could thrive here, especially given that they don't have a ton of options in the passing game. I mean, they have Jaden Higgins now that they've drafted him in round 2. Obviously, they have Garrett Wilson, and adding Harold Fannin Jr. gives Justin Fields a weapon that he can use. I think it's a really good fit, and I think in a tight end premium league, he probably would go a lot higher than this. I'm not as big on Harold Fannin Jr. as some people are, which is why he has fallen this far. So we have some other tight ends, some other wide receivers that we can consider here. So I think Jack Besh would be the next. Well, actually, no. I think we have to take the quarterback, Jalen Milroe. Now I know it's a situation in this with the Saints. They're in round 3, where, I mean, who knows what they're going to do long term. But at some point, the credit card bill is going to come due for the New Orleans Saints, and they're going to have to start building around a rookie quarterback. And that rookie quarterback might be Jalen Milroe. Now, I'm not the biggest fan, but if they take him here, I think he's worth a round 3 pick in a Superflex rookie draft. Let's have some fun, and let's take Isaiah Bond. If he gets taken at the top of round 3 by Jacksonville, I think that's a good sign. The Jacksonville need some playmakers all of a sudden. They don't have Evan Ingram anymore. They don't have Christian Kirk. I think Isaiah Bond would fill a nice role for them with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, with a new offensive coordinator, or with a new head coach rather. Liam Cohen coming over, Duval. I do think that was a good hire for them. And I think if we've learned anything from coach press conferences, they aren't necessarily a predictor of how that coach is going to do. Just look at Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni, case Exhibit A and Exhibit B. So we could go back to the tight end position. Mason Taylor, on the surface, you would think that would be good, but I like Jatavian Sanders quite a bit, and Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble's not necessarily what you would think of a tight end stopper. I do think that I think we have to go to wide receiver. I've let Jack Besh fall too far. If he goes to the Giants, I don't love the landing spot, but I think he does fit pretty well with Malik Neighbors and Shedeur Sanders or Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson or whatever they're going to do at at quarterback there. So I think that would be the play. And let's just go for it. Let's just go upside with the wide receivers. I mean, we could go with some of these tight ends, but if the Raiders pick Jalen Royals in round 3, I mean, the Raiders want to win right away. Sometimes if you want to win right away, you have to take a big freaking swing, and Jalen Royals would be a big freaking swing. And that's exactly what I want to do in round 3 of rookie drafts. Is I want to take a big swing at wide receiver. And Jalen Royals, he has the height, he has the size, he has the speed. And just go turn on the film at Utah State, and you tell me that this guy, I mean, he's a little bit unpolished, sure, but he has some insane athleticism and just some, like, he is a playmaker, and Utah State used him like a playmaker. So let's move on down. You know, all these running backs are off the board. So we're gonna have to pivot to maybe a tight end that we like. And I think Elijah Arroyo, if he goes to the Rams and Sean McVay tells us that, you know, like this is the tight end I want, I'm not afraid of Tyler Higbee, especially given the fact that he's coming off of an injury. So if he winds up with the Rams in round 3, then I can get behind that, and I would have no problem taking him in round 3 of a rookie draft. And so that leaves us with some limited options here, but I do think Xavier Restrepo would be a really good pick to make. And you know, I would, it just kind of depends. You know, we could take some chances on some of these running backs. And in fact, I think we will, just given the nature of where some of these tight ends ended up. Um, so we're gonna take Restrepo. I think he fits well with the Cardinals. I really do. In what you know, with Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, I actually think he'd be a really good fit in that situation. I know he's off still running his 40, but you know, like, I don't know. I think sometimes we make too much out of that. So let me know what you think in the comments. And now potentially, you know, this is a point in the draft where, you know, we could go one of these tight ends that was taken in round 3, but I don't know, man. I think it would be a nice opportunity to take somebody that wasn't selected. And I know we're talking about my mock draft. Okay, so I understand that, but Ollie Gordon, I think, would be an amazing value if you get him in round 3. So that's the direction I'm going to go. And I'm going to try to minimize this because I don't know why Sleepers thing pops up. I see it's blocking some of the player view. I don't think it's ruining the entire video, but I don't know. So Ollie Gordon, and just because I am, you know, I'm going to go Terrence Ferguson. I like Terrence Ferguson. This landing spot, I think, is good. I think I'm just going to end this with a bang. And I know this quarterback didn't get drafted, but Dillon Gabriel, I think if Dillon Gabriel falls to day 3 and he doesn't have any attention on him whatsoever, I think Dillon Gabriel, I'm going to own him in like 100% of my dynasty leagues. So I'll minimize this so you can see the full board. There it is. The most fun mock draft you will see this year. I'm guaranteed. That's my promise to you. If you don't like it, let me know in the comments. If you do like it, let me know in the comments. Go ahead, tell your friends, tell your enemies about my channel. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.